Hey, it's Tim. Pickup truck plus SUV talk. Joined by the 500-year-old Joseph Manello and car guy Tom from Chicago. Now, Tom
I,
is on the radio a lot, and Tom is camera issues, so you get to see Tom the way we see Tom.
I'm waving.
He's going to continue working on his technical issues as we can do the show, but it was showtime. Here's we're on the Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk podcast. So I'm going to tell you guys full background information. I had my first professional massage today.
Okay, so what he is saying is he's going to share too much information.
Yeah, all I'm saying is my head is spinning. I literally don't know what time zone I'm in currently, so I'll be relying on Jill and Tom to carry some of the load here.
Good luck with that.
I feel like I drink a bottle of whiskey. It was interesting. So I'm feeling all sorts of new emotions and feelings in my back, which make things rather interesting. So let's see. What are we talking about today? Oh, we're talking about the top trucks and SUVs that hold their value the best, and some that do the worst. Gene says we should get a nostalgia and put a car pick in for Tom. I do agree. We should have a little face thing for Tom. Maybe an old sedan or something, big car, something he would enjoy.
I know. What we need is the car spotter that I took on Blue Sky over the weekend.
That's good.
With the Pinto wagon cruiser or whatever, cruiser wagon.
If you have a picture of an Isuzu Oasis, that's good.
See, I was thinking a donut van.
Oh.
So Jill and Tom do a car consumer guide podcast, and an ongoing stick of that show is doing donuts, and they literally buy donuts. So it's a funny thing.
Like my sister even bought me donut bath bombs.
Oh, those aren't real?
No, these are not real. They are donut bath bombs.
Wow.
And I can't bring myself to actually use them because they look cool. And I can go like this, donuts.
Does anyone ever actually use decorative soap?
Yes.
I feel like if you're at someone's house and you do that, you made them mad.
No, whenever we travel and we get soap, and very often it's decorative, I will take it, and then when I have a guest, I will set the soap out for them. Tim can attest to it in the wrapper and everything, and it's like you can use this soap. This is your soap.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel bad unwrapping someone else's new soap.
Nope, that's the point.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think it's a contest, right? So she's trying to see if you actually wash your hands. That's what the end goal
is. If you actually shower.
Right. So if you don't unwrap it, I've stayed at her place with her husband, and I've stayed in the spare bedroom, and I've unwrapped the soap. Yeah. Now we have proof Tom is AI.
Tom is just a disembodied voice. Good job, Chasey dog.
I am terrible proof that the future of AI is something horrible.
I will say, if you go over to my YouTube channel, I have started posting video of our podcast that we do on Mondays, and so you can see Tom is a real person. He's not disembodied AI. I swear.
Just so people know, the camera adds 80 pounds.
So this is Tom.
Oh.
I pulled up his bio on Consumer Guide Automotive, and he does exist. That's Tom.
Look, I had black hair once.
Oh yeah. So I went. So before we get too off track, I went looked at the video a couple years ago. I'm gonna say 5-6 years ago, and it was crazy how much less gray hair I had looking at that video. It's amazing.
It sneaks up on you, man.
It does. Okay, before I lose more viewers who are going out to buy donuts, let's hop into the top 25 cars that hold their resale value. This is from our friends at iSeeCars.com. We do a lot of these studies, Jill, as you know. And there's always some pros and cons to studies. People want to argue, and that's fine. I just find it interesting. It's just an interesting thing. It's like, okay, what they find? So they always give a little thing. They have highlights, but they basically look over millions of listings on the website. And then they talk about the 5-year depreciation for notable vehicle segments. And I thought this was an interesting list because they looked at overall 2019 through 2023, 2025. So like pre-pandemic, maybe kind of post-pandemic a little bit, and then currently, or pandemic. Can I talk tonight? Overall, and then how things dropped after the pandemic. came back. So if you're listening to this on a podcast, we had 49.6% was the overall segment average, and then 38.8% in 2023, and 45.6% in 2025. So we did this kind of yoo-hoo dip thing going on, and it impacted everybody. Hybrids, EVs, SUVs, and trucks all dipped in value in 2023 and came back up. Interestingly enough, as far as the vehicles that had the notable worst, I should say, depreciation. This is weird. It talks about depreciation for notable. The study is a little confusing, but EVs, as we talked about for the last couple of years, have a very poor resale value. Currently, in 2019, it was 67%, dropped down to 49%, then back up to 58.8% as far as overall depreciation, how fast they are depreciating. Vehicles that hold their value the best are going to be trucks, as we know. Trucks have always held their value less. 42.7% 2019, 34.8% 2023, and 40.4% in 2025. And then hybrids, which I find fascinating because we have lots of people who comment that hybrids lose value quickly. And in 2019, they were right. 56.7%. Hybrids lost value really fast. 2023, 37.4%. And then 2025, the depreciation was similar to trucks as far as depreciating the least in 2025.
Hybrids are interesting too, because especially now that we're talking about going electric, and even though we're dragging our feet on that as a population, hybrids have made electric vehicles have made hybrids less to worry about. Like the new technology to freak out about is EVs, and hybrids have become like the old, stable, reliable technology. And kind of since COVID, the public has gone hybrid crazy. And CRV hybrids and RAV4 hybrids and Kia and Hyundai hybrids have been selling really well. The public just loves hybrids now. And they are, all those vehicles I just mentioned, really good applications of the technology and much improved fuel economy. And as it looks like here, the money you pay extra for a hybrid, you will get most of back when you sell the vehicle.
Yeah, it is a very interesting thing there. And Andrew posted a comment. He wants to know about legroom and bench seats. Andrew, I did see your comment on a video I posted last night. I did see it. I'm working on some thoughts on trying to land some videos on that. So I'm with you there. So looking at this list a bit more, I want to scroll down because we go through top 25 vehicles. We're not going to talk about sports cars in this channel. I'm sorry. Boo-hoo.
You don't want to talk about the Porsche 911?
I don't know about Tom, but me getting into sports cars, like a drunken guy falling into a vehicle, it does not work.
I can attest to that, and I think I have video of that somewhere.
My big guy doesn't work. So hybrids ranked by depreciation. So 5-year depreciation, the vehicles that had this is the best. That's the hard part to figure out with the survey. I think it's the best. They retain their value the best because, I think the average is 40.7.
And the top 6, well, really the top 7 are all Toyotas.
Right. So Toyota RAV4 hybrid, Toyota Prius, Toyota Crow hybrid, Toyota Prius Prime, Toyota Highlander hybrid, Toyota Camry hybrid, Lexus UX 250H. Now, my question for you guys is, do you think that's because Toyota was very much in a bandwagon into hybrids and wasn't doing full EVs, and they just had more vehicles out there, or do you think they hold their value?
Oh, yeah. I think they hold their value. One of the best value cars you can buy is like a base Corolla, and you can buy that and it'll run well for you. This is the thing about Toyotas, and this is the thing about something like the Corolla. Dads buy these cars for their daughters. Like they trust them, they're reliable, they talk people into buying these things, and they're never that exciting. But they do what they're supposed to do. And Jill, you'll agree with me on this. The interiors on most of these cars are not great. They're good.
Yeah.
They're good. But like the RAV4 hybrid, I think is still in short supply. And that's a very nice vehicle. And it's pretty roomy too. There's a lot going on there. But all of a sudden gluing hybrid onto the back of the name, good for resale value.
It's like making money. And I think part of the reason why Toyota is at the top, because they have such a huge proliferation in the market. They had so many hybrids and they've been doing it for so long, and they've kind of perfected the technology. I mean, when you look at a good hybrid, like Toyota kind of set the bar. And I will say Honda is kind of chipping away at that, but they don't have anywhere near the number of hybrids available that Toyota has. Nobody does. Nobody has the number, because I think pretty much every vehicle Toyota makes now has a hybrid option.
I think so.
Yeah.
Jill, you made a point that I didn't make, and that's that these are good hybrids.
Yeah.
Like the application, the actual part of it that is hybrid, the interplay between gas and electric and starting and stopping and all that, really good, really seamless.
Yeah.
Can we all agree, though, we're really happy that Toyota has started to drop the Prime name?
But it was a Prime specimen. I have no idea what you're talking about. It was Prime.
If you don't know, Toyota has announced that they're going to not call all their hybrids Prime. They're just going to call them hybrids.
Well, no. So like the Prime is the plug-in hybrid.
Oh, is that the deal?
Yeah. And so I think that they are dropping Prime and they're going to call it PHEV.
Plug-in hybrid. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was close. Again, a long massage today.
Close.
Head is not even in the marketplace. Kia is coming in a few places. Honda CR-V hybrids in a few places. Hyundai as well. Porsche Cayenne. Was that a hybrid?
Yeah, they did have a hybrid version of it.
I think they're mild. They're all mild hybrids now. I'd have to check on the Cayenne. That's being redesigned as we speak.
Yeah. And I know I had a plug-in hybrid version once because they had like the poison green accents on the plug-in hybrids.
But the Cayenne's a hot seller. I mean, one of the biggest secrets that Porsche has is they don't sell very many sports cars. They sell an awful lot of Macans, which is the compact crossover, and an awful lot of Cayennes, which is the midsize crossover. Both are really well reviewed. I haven't driven one in a while of either. But the secret here is they don't sell that many 911s or Caymans or Boxsters. It's these cars, and people love these cars.
Yeah, but 52% depreciation, they don't love them that much.
That's still towards the top of the list, and we're talking 36 month, right? What was the average?
5 year depreciation.
Is it 5 year? 5 year. 5 year.
5 year. That seems pretty good, actually.
Average is 40, so 52. Okay.
Oh, maybe that's a little high then. All right, Joe.
That seems high because when you looked at the Porsche 911, like that did not depreciate. I'm just saying, people may not.
Car people, I'm scrolling up. Hold on, car people. Hold on.
Selling or buying a lot of the 911s.
Porsche 911 is 19.5%.
Yeah.
That's it, because Porsche does such a really good job of managing supply of these things.
Yeah.
They don't have like a late December clearance sale with 10 grand rebates, you know?
There's no Porsche-thon?
No, sadly, no.
All I can say is Porsche doesn't know Nebraska exists because I've never even heard of a Porsche in my area. Moving along.
Probably no dealers.
Yeah, you're probably right. I actually have never even searched. Maybe in Omaha. I have no idea. I take it back. I have seen one driving on the golf course. Some lady owns it or some person owns it. Okay, trucks ranked by depreciation because damn it, this truck channel. People.
All right.
Fine. But again, Toyota's at the top.
Do you always ruin the surprise for everybody? Those people listening on the
podcast.
You
are scrolling up. Anybody who can read knows that the surprise is blown.
They may be listening to the podcast.
Fine.
So for those listening, the Toyota Tacoma is at the top of the list, followed by the Toyota Tundra. And 26% and 29.1%. I'll be interested to see how this depreciation changes. The third gen Tundra has gotten quite a bit of bad reputation lately, and people have been dropping those like a bad habit lately. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It's also expensive, which is going to affect this.
It is. It's gone up quite a bit. The Tacoma, the reason why the Tacoma is such a hot seller is because a lot of people they can't buy used one for the price of new ones. They're just not buying new ones. It's just how it holds its value. Ford Ranger is third place. Jeep Gladiator, a bit surprised to me.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, that's surprising.
Agree. Because you have this market now and I realize the Gladiator's a pickup technically and the Wrangler is not, but I think they're interchangeable for a lot of buyers. And the Bronco is out there too, watering down the pool. There's just a lot of vehicles available. So I'm kind of surprised that this is that strong.
Okay, Car Guy Online is here. Remember, resale value doesn't equal reliability. Yes, Car Guy Online. Yes, we get it. He's the Car Guy Online is a great guy. He's a great guy. He's just he likes to talk about reliability a lot on his channel and like to point out issues that automakers have. So this is 5 year depreciation there, Mr. Car Guy. This is based on not current generation. Hold your horses.
But so I will say that's actually a really viable point You know, because like if you look at Land Rovers and Jaguars and things like that, I mean, maybe they depreciate a lot, but they're not reliable at all. So
Rovers are a deal used, and I think you're taking all sorts of risks by buying one used.
I still see them. People like them. People like them, gosh darn it. GMC Canyon, Nissan Frontier run off the list. I've said for a long period of time that the Nissan Frontier is really undervalued in the marketplace as far as reliability.
Oh, agreed. In terms of reliability? Okay.
Yeah. And resale value reliability, it's been right there with Toyota Tacoma in most studies. And people, you know, and you have naturally aspirated engine, you have the underpinnings of it haven't changed that much in the last couple of years. Last 10 years, 15 years. I mean, it's just got some styling changes in the next year. So it really gets the model. I'm surprised that the GMC Canyon is up in this list. Just because.
Yeah, and it's 2.5 points higher than the Colorado for some reason.
Right. And I mean,
keep in mind that that's a high value item, and they're higher priced. So that I don't know that surprises me.
Okay.
Well, to your point, Jill, it's interesting that they've gotten the brands as far apart as they have. And I've told this story before, but when I worked in fleet leasing in the 90s, a GMC pickup truck and a Chevy pickup were identical except for the badges and the price. And GMCs cost $1 more than Chevys invoice. They were so similar that there wasn't any point to making a decision between which to purchase. Just didn't matter.
Huh.
So now there's that distance between them, and it's kind of cool.
So what's the inflation look like for $1 difference today in today's dollars? Is that like 17, 18?
Yeah, used one should be 18 cents more now. Yeah.
Chevy Colorado comes in at 7th, just below the truck average, 40.4%. I should get the numbers out for those who are listening to the podcast. That means over a 5-year depreciation, you will lose $15,114 as the average in the IC car study if you buy a new truck today,
or if you bought a new truck 5 years ago.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with this stuff as much as you guys are, but I want to point out that it's really interesting to me that the big trucks, the half-ton trucks, the only one that makes it to the top part of the list is the Tundra.
Yeah.
And the Tundra is known for that too, right? So it's known to be a really reliable truck and has really good resale value. Again, Car Guideline will appreciate me. Give me a golf clap. That's going to depend on what's going to happen next generation.
But I mean, Toyotas in general, I think, command a much higher resale value, and Honda does too, which is why I'm kind of surprised to see Honda Ridgeline come in at number 10.
You know what we're not seeing on this list any place is VinFast.
They were around 5 years ago, so that's why we're not seeing them.
Okay, there you go.
So after the truck average 40.4%, we have Colorado, Silverado, Sierra 1500, Honda Ridgeline at 42.4%, Ram 1500 at 42.8%, and the Ford F-150 at 43.4%. Nissan Titan XD is below the overall average, Nissan Titan, and then the Ram 1500 Classic is on the very bottom of the list. And that Classic was basically the prior generation of the Ram truck that launched. So it doesn't surprise me the resale value is low on that because it's not a very sought-after vehicle at the point. Even if you bought it new, it was still like 5 years old when you bought it. So it's an older technology. What I find interesting is the Ram 1500 that is well known in the comments we get on this channel as having the worst resale value in the market. A lot of people have pointed that out to me. And the Ford F-150, even though it has more depreciation by percentage of about 0.6%, it actually has less depreciation by money. The Ford F-150 is about $1,000 less depreciation versus MSRP versus the Ram, which is $17,241.
Tim, I'm lazier than you, and I didn't pick up on that, but I think we can assume that part of that is that the Rams probably sell for more new.
Yeah.
And all those options probably don't appeal as strongly to used car customers. But that's super interesting observation.
Well, you know, it is. And when I've been doing a lot of buyer's guides lately for Car Gurus, and one of the things that I've actually noticed is if you are going to buy a used truck, you should buy the top of the line model, because like the amount of depreciation between like the tungsten or limited top tier trim versus like the work truck version is nominal. So it's like, why would you spend $20,000 on a work truck when you could spend $21,000 on like the top tier trim? And that I've seen that trend repeat itself over and over again in trucks and SUVs, that especially if you're looking back 5 to 10 years, the the difference between the top trim and the base trim isn't that much. So why wouldn't you go with the top trim? But I do think Rams overall cost more.
That's interesting, though, that compression and perceived value between base and top when you go used. But you are talking about a more pragmatic buyer to some extent. So, yeah, you do lose that. And I remember, too, the same thing was true with buying, when I worked in fleet leasing, a lot of like mainstream cars, like a Taurus or something, or a Chevy Impala. There wasn't much in way of trim level value when the vehicles were used. But one of the interesting things was that upgrading the engine was always worth money. So and then it was V6 versus 4-cylinder, but here, it's a little bit different.
Right. I think it's a very interesting topic, and Jill and I know we've talked about this different times, that because we do get that question, like if you buy a luxury truck, what I call them, because the segment's basically split between, I call it 4 ways. You have the consumer fleet kind of customer, you have entry-level buyer, you have the sport truck buyer, and you have luxury truck buyer. And they're very different customers. And it's always interesting to talk to the guys who are buying luxury trucks, and they're looking at the features, things they want. They're not really thinking about resale value as much, but it is interesting to see as far as what would happen with resale value in that. Gene says, I would literally cry if I bought a tungsten and crawled into it after a day of painting or road work. It was remember the Tundra when it came out, in the capstone was a white interior, and every capstone in the fleet looked dirty.
Why?
Yeah, it looked horrendous by the time it came to us. The detailers would detail these trucks, but by the time they came to 3 or 4 different press loans, it looked terrible inside.
Well, because I mean, you wear jeans and you slide in and out. I like anybody who puts a white interior in anything. I don't understand that, because you're just going to get jean stains, and especially putting it in a truck. Because I mean, okay, yeah, it was a bougie truck, but still, it's a truck, and people who buy trucks are going to do truck things. And just in case you're wondering, they're probably going to be wearing jeans while they do it.
I wonder too if something that we see in more vehicles more and more lately is that the wings of the seats, the outside portion of the seats, are often not leather, but there's some kind of woven material, some kind of high-end lycra or something like that,
right.
Which I think ages better. We had a long-term Navigator at Consumer Guide with a dove gray interior, beautiful interior, but the side of the seat, the left-hand side of the seat where you would put your hand all the time to make yourself comfortable or getting out of the vehicle, was quickly turning black. It was nasty.
Yeah. Okay, we also talk about SUVs in this channel, so let's scroll down a little bit. Top 5 small SUVs with the lowest 5-year depreciation.
Can I kill it again?
Yes, please kill again.
Hey, look, Toyota's on the top.
Woohoo! We have Toyota RAV4 and RAV4 Hybrid coming in at 30.9%. Subaru Crosstrek, Honda HR-V, now that's the smaller one, and the Honda CR-V, and Subaru Forester. They're all below the industry average, or the average of the study, of 45.5%. The average is you're losing $14,549 when you buy these, except for Subaru Crosstrek, Toyota RAV4. And again, the average money difference from MSRP is a little wonky on this chart, because the Subaru Crosstrek actually loses less versus the Toyota RAV4 by about $800. But I think it's based on what Thomas said earlier about MSRPs and things being higher.
Yeah, you can build a pretty expensive RAV4, especially a RAV4 Hybrid.
Yeah.
And Crosstreks are still reasonably affordable. Full disclosure, I own one. My wife loves it.
Yeah. There you go. So, Tom, you've made a smart decision. All right, moving on to top 5 top 5 small SUVs with the highest 5-year depreciations, also known as the ones that suck the most. Looking at the Jaguar I-Pace, Tesla Model Y, Jaguar F-Pace, Cadillac XT5, Kia Niro EV. Am I remembering correctly? Isn't it the Model Y, or is it Model X is one of the best-selling SUVs?
The Model Y. So that to me is surprising that is number 2 with the depreciation.
I suspect too that this number is far worse than this shows, because when did this survey end?
Let me scroll on the bottom here.
Fair.
Yeah, there's some political talk. There's some political stuff going on. So the
Yeah.
methodology is IC Cars analyzed over 800,000 5-year-old used cars sold from March 2024 to February 2025.
Oh, okay, that's current then.
That's current. Heavy-duty trucks and vans, models along in production as of 2024, and low-volume models like VinFast were removed from further analysis. MSRPs were inflation adjusted to $2025 based on data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Difference in average asking price for each vehicle between its MSRP and its used car pricing is mathematically modeled to obtain the vehicle's depreciation. There you go. So,
well, then this does reflect the unfortunate current political climate,
right? And it's probably going to reflect more of that if we went into like March and April. But I was thinking about this though. So the Jaguar I-Pace loses 72.2% over 5 years. Difference is 51,953. So does that mean you're basically on a 5-year lease and the car's free when you're done? I don't remember the I-Pace MSRP was, but
it must have been around $75,000, right?
Yeah, I don't think it was that much. Yeah, I think it's right in that range.
This is well, the first I-Paces came in really high. They were almost 90 grand, and they did lower the price. But remember, the Audi e-tron came in at the same time. Those were the only hybrids, the only luxury hybrids. They were crossovers, and they were really stupid expensive the first year out. And they lowered the price like 10, 15 grand right away, which is terrible for resale value. When you're not.
I really liked the I-Pace. I feel like it came out when I was still at Sinclair. So it was like 2018, 2019 when that came out.
We got our first one at Consumer Guide, and I drove it maybe home and back. Nice car, quick. I thought it rode too firmly, but it was a Jaguar, nice interior, stuff like that, kind of sporty, but it wouldn't take a charge. So basically after 2 days, they flatbedded it away, and we never saw it again.
Oops.
That's People ask us all the time, like, do vehicles break down during test drives? Yeah. I've had times where I've gone like 3 or 4 press loans in a row, which is a press loan, for those who don't know, is we get a vehicle for 7 days, they drop at our house, we get it, we do content on it, which either is like photos, written stories, or a podcast, or you do a video on it, whatever the case is going to be, and they take it back. And we don't decide what the trim levels are, we don't decide options, all that kind of stuff.
Nope.
But then they go over these vehicles quite a bit. They actually take these vehicles off the assembly line. They go through a fine-tooth comb again on these vehicles. And then there are times I've had problems with different vehicles as a press loan.
The F-Pace is interesting because it's the last Jaguar available for sale now. And it's a compact crossover, should be popular, but this is killer. You couldn't lease one of these. And most luxury shoppers like to lease their vehicles. But with depreciation like this, you would never lease it. You wouldn't get a reasonable price for the lease.
Yeah, that's true. Oh. It is interesting you point out that's the last Jaguar. Jaguar. Please, Jill.
Jaguar.
Yep, thanks. That's available.
Yeah, until whatever this electric blob is that they're forcing down our throats.
It is terrible.
Pink or blue.
It's a terrible vehicle.
His or hers.
It is not. It is not reasonable competition for Bentley. Bentley Continentals are beautiful.
It's like an EV or something, isn't it? Or I'm pulling
it's an EV
right now. Oh, yes. There it is. It's this. It looks like, for those listening to the podcast, it's like Batman. It reminds me of what Batman drove in like different movies he had.
Well, it's like got a flat front. Like that's going to be aerodynamic. And then a flat back. The side profile doesn't look bad, but the front and the back, I don't understand.
Why is there a screen door glued to the back?
I know. It looks like one of those filters that you put in your HVAC system.
Right.
So maybe it's filtering out the particulates in the air because of the regulation changes coming. I don't know.
I saw some price numbers for this thing between 130 and 180 grand. Yeah. So that is value pricing relative to Bentley, but it's ugly, which I think is a problem if you're trying to sell this car to Bentley owners.
I love this headline, though. Jaguar boss defends rebrand amid Miami Pink EV launch. Like when that's your headline, you might have screwed the pooch on that one. Just
Yeah,
saying.
if you have to take a defensive stance, and I ask this question all the time: if in fact you're breaking with the past, why even use the Jaguar name?
Yeah. Why don't you just do a sub brand or something?
Yeah, Jaguar was a thing, and they made beautiful cars and
Yeah,
track cars and sports cars and beautiful sedans. I mean, legendary style, really cool engines. That inline six that they built for years, beloved,
Mhm.
beloved by the sporting crowd who can afford a Jaguar.
They could have called it the Pussycat launch. All right, Cadillac XT5, Kia Niro EV. All right, top midsize SUVs with the lowest 5-year depreciation. Jill,
Hey, look at that. Guess who's on top of the list again?
the Toyota
Oh.
4Runner with 31.3% average 5-year depreciation. Then Jeep Wrangler, Toyota Highlander and Highlander Hybrid, Lexus RX 350, Honda Passport, midsize SUV average 51.2%, which is like $22,000. And the 4Runner, it's $12,753. Wrangler, $10,888. So it's pretty close competition there at the top. It's interesting. The Wrangler, I've talked to people about this, is literally the most unreliable vehicle you can buy, and it's loved by every person who buys one.
Yeah.
Crazy. Now, you guys could tell me. I appreciate what the 4Runner is. And I think that if I was some sort of eccentric writer who had a lot of money and I lived deep, deep, deep in the woods, I might want a 4Runner.
Okay.
But what is it about the 4Runner that people love so much? The old engine was kind of big and cranky. It got terrible fuel economy. It didn't ride very well, but I know it was deadbolt reliable. I guess it's really good off road.
And it's just a cult classic. I mean, the last generation was like 14 years long.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. It's reliability and it's off-road capability. Vehicles have gotten, for better or worse, they've gotten more fancy. They've gotten more technology. And Toyota kind of bucked that trend for years with the 4Runner. They actually, one of the reasons I tell the story a lot, one of the reasons I went to Japan was to get the Japanese CEOs over there to recognize the 4Runner was still an important U.S. market because it was on a chopping block.
That would be a shame. People love that thing.
Yeah.
It's part of the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it very much is. An interesting fact about Toyota is whenever they came into a new market, they actually launched the Land Cruiser first to prove their reliability.
Oh.
And the 4Runner is basically right up there with the Land Cruiser in reliability. That's what they put their stamp on. That's what they hung their hat on, was reliability.
The Lexus RX 350, I always say this, it's not any fun to drive. It's the perfect car for people who don't care about cars but want a premium car. Mm-hmm. Like, just get that. It's easy. And it's great interior, great ride quality, everything you want there, usually good audio system. It's just not, fun. Even sporty versions of that aren't fun to drive.
I will say the newest versions, that was a couple years ago they launched this, much better as far as some of the different trim levels, but it's so confusing because every trim level has a different powertrain, different things to it. My aunt had an RX 350 for years in Illinois, and she fits your mold perfectly, Tom. She wasn't a car person. She wanted something that was really reliable, held resale value, that had a good interior, and she loved it. And she actually they traded in the RX 350 for a GX at the time before the GX redesigned, and she freaking hates
because if you're one of my favorite cars, I love the GX.
But somebody who has an RX going to a GX, that's
a big bump.
It's
first of all,
not good.
You got the step in, right? It's harder to get in. It's a little harder to see out of.
Right. You go from a unibody to body on frame. The dynamics, everything is different. She wants something different, and Lexus hadn't done anything different in how many years, and so she wanted to do something different. So she was kind of got bored, which is what happens, and then boom, she was not happy at all. The Honda Passport coming in number 5, which is a little interesting to me. It probably a little bit of a reliability thing, same issue, same reasons for the Toyota coming in at number 1. But I find the Passport to be a big pass.
Really?
There's nothing about Hondas recently that I really have fallen in love with.
I like the Passport, and it's very much like the Pilot. Maybe it rides a little more firmly. But one thing I like about it, and I don't know if people notice this on a test drive, very short overhangs. So it's a little bit easier to park and maneuver. So if you're just some sort of suburban crossover buyer, maybe you dig this. I don't know.
There you
go. I can't get behind the tech in Hondas. It is just very old school. The cameras aren't good. You know, the icons that they put on the infotainment system, I'm just like, ugh. The first thing I do, especially in a Honda, is I like plug in my Apple CarPlay.
Joe, when was the last time you drove a Passport?
It's been within the last year.
What did you think? What did you think of the interior?
You know, I always find Honda interiors to be a little plasticky.
Yeah, that's a problem, I think.
Yeah,
with the current crop.
Well, and I know they're doing the media drives for the Honda Passport, I think next week in Puerto Rico. This is the 2026 model year. I did see the 2026 Honda Passport competed in the Rebelle. So I have seen it. I didn't look at the interior, but I'm going to be very curious to see the 2026 model because by all accounts, this is a huge upgrade, both for off-road capability as well as, you know, interior upgrades and amenities.
Yeah, and the short overhangs are for off-roadiness. I mean, they do pitch this thing as being more off-road ready than the Pilot.
Yeah, and they have like the Trail Sport version. I think Trail Sport, right? Trail Sport,
yeah.
Yeah.
I was not going to remember that. Glad you did.
Well, I hope I got that one right.
Well, the worst one is the Honda Passport Trail Sport.
Yes.
Say that on camera. Yeah.
You know what? That's way better than the BMW M45i xDrive 32 or whatever the hell they want to say.
Yeah,
like, give me.
Yeah, those numbers are insane.
Give me a name. Honda Passport Trail Sport. Take that any day.
Anytime we get a vehicle like this, we could do like a 20 minutes of outtakes trying to get the name right. It's incredible. Before we move on, have you guys seen the Honda Prologue? The GM version?
Yeah.
Not to bag on Honda too much, but I just could not get behind that vehicle at all. That was just.
I liked it.
It was like Honda. Was it Honda interior? No, GM interior with Honda exterior. Just a really interesting.
That kind of is what it is.
Yeah, it really.
It is. And Tom has told me specifically that I've belabored this point too much, but I'm doing it anyway. To me, it's a nice alternative if you would like to use Apple CarPlay because it's like the Blazer, but it has Apple CarPlay.
And I can't help but think that because it's available on the Honda, someone's going to come up with another sneak. I know you said that the one package that was out there to try to get CarPlay available on the what are we talking about? Not the Traverse, the
on the
Equinox.
On the Blazer, the Equinox, on any GM vehicle. GM shut it down.
We will, you know what? I don't want to talk about this too much because it's your show, but just real quick, either other manufacturers are going to jump in and start moving Apple out of their cars, or this is going to fail completely. There's no middle ground.
No, I completely agree with you. And GM's war on Apple is just a little weird to me. Top 5 midsize SUVs with highest 5-year depreciation. Maserati Levante.
None of this is surprising to me.
$64,991 in 5 years. Tesla Model X, Audi Q7, Infiniti QX60, Land Rover Discovery. For those listening to the podcast, let me give you an idea here. The Infiniti QX60 comes number 4 and lost $30,888. And again, Maserati lost double that in a 5-year span.
I don't know who in their right mind would ever buy a used Maserati. That's probably the problem here. And I never say buy the extended warranty, but if you're buying a used Maserati, buy the extended warranty because it will bankrupt you.
Are you saying it's unreliable, Tom?
That's the word. Yeah, that's the word.
I would say the same thing for the Land Rover Discovery as well. Buy the extended warranty.
Let me defend the QX60 slightly because there was a redesign in the last 5 years. So I think the redesigned model might fare slightly better than the old version.
And for those wondering about this kind of stuff, people always think we're bought out or whatever. Nissan and Infiniti basically cut me off from press loans after I bagged on the QX60 so bad. So the QX60 I didn't like, Titan I didn't like. I mean, we've had some back and forth with those people, and they just.
I liked the Titan, but I think the Titan was a truck for people who are not truck people.
That could be.
Well, more than that, the Titan was good in a sea of great.
That's a very fair point.
Every other full-size pickup is really good.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, the full size truck segment, you can tell where the money's going into. It's going into that segment. All the automakers updating that stuff. All right, top 5 large SUVs with the lowest 5-year depreciation. I'm gonna say, Jill doesn't get a chance to talk here.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Jill is shot down. It is not the Toyota Sequoia, which I'm a little stuttered here for a moment.
But I mean, the Toyota Sequoia, let's be clear, it's kind of a horrible vehicle.
Yeah.
I don't agree, but it is subject to a damning recall right now, right? We're still trying to get those engines fixed, right?
Yes, that's a big deal right now, and that's 5 years. So this was 2022 was redesigned,
Okay.
I believe, or 23. So somewhere in that realm. You're right, Tom. Somewhere in that realm.
2019 Sequoia was still not a great vehicle.
Yeah. And I have family members that own them, and even they tell me, they're like, yeah, I drive in the wind, and I'm like, we're getting what, 10, 12? I mean, it's kind of it's a joke for those guys. They understand they're buying it for reliability for their family because they want the Toyota reliability, but fuel economy for that stuff is just horrendous. I'm surprised. I guess I didn't even talk about this list. I'm gonna not skip past it. But number 1, Mercedes-Benz G-Class, 38.8% average 5-year depreciation, which is 57,548 actually leads the list we have. So interesting the way this list is put out. GMC Yukon's number 2 at 52.4%. Chevy Tahoe, 52.6%. Chevy Suburban, 55.6%. Lincoln Aviator, 55.9%. The large SUV average is 57.3%. So apparently people are getting these used. Huh.
I was just going to mention, for people who don't know, the G Class is not the GLS. It's not the big passenger SUV. It's the ridiculous shoebox looking
wagon or whatever.
Geländewagen, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
It's legit off-roader, but super expensive, and they've had a hard time getting enough of them to the United States. So there is kind of a shortage. So there are crazy rich enthusiasts waiting to buy one, new or used.
Yeah, and used, they probably still cost $100,000.
Well, that's what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
I drove one about 5 years ago in Texas, and I was shocked at how bad it was. And I'm like, okay, all right, this is what it is. The Yukon and the Tahoe and Suburban, that surprises me. I mean, they are the volume leaders in this segment, and maybe that's because it's the volume issue as far as depreciation, but I thought they hold the value a little bit better.
I'm sorry. I think the draw here, though, I love the 5.3 liter V8 matched to an 8 or 10 speed automatic. I think that's one of the greatest drivetrains in big trucks, and I can see why people love these things. But you thought the resale value would be higher than this, Tim?
Yeah, because I mean, basically, a Tahoe and the Yukon is either the Sierra or Silverado with a bed. So let's get this in mind: 27,000 for Tahoe, 35,000 for Yukon. I'm gonna scroll up the trucks and see what the Sierra and the Silverado do. 27, 35. Keep that in mind. So the Silverado is 15,000, and the Sierra's 15,000. So they lose their value a lot more than the trucks do.
But still, like they're on the top 5 list of lowest depreciation. Yeah. So I think what I'm seeing here is that SUVs lose their value faster than trucks.
Yeah,
I'm sort of surprised the Expedition isn't here, which I find to be a very nice vehicle too.
Yeah, I tell you, I've owned Fords and I've driven a lot of Fords. I own a Ford Ranger right now. And every one of those has popping sounds in the A-pillars. The Ford F-150 I had, the Ford Ranger we own has a popping sound in the A-pillar. I took a Ford Expedition deer hunting, and it wouldn't stop making noises as we drove around the countryside. So I just think the build quality of those vehicles was pretty poor for quite a bit of time. Yeah,
interesting.
So I like the vehicles. I love a Ford Raptor. I love the Bronco. I just had some issues with some of the fit and finish and popping sounds of those vehicles. So I wonder if that happens. I also think maybe volume plays in the role. I don't know about you guys, but when I lived in Michigan growing up, everybody went north on the weekends, and they had Tahoes, Suburbans, and Yukons.
Mm-hmm.
In Chicago, you probably go north to Wisconsin, hang out for the weekend, get out of the city, and you want a bigger vehicle to do that. Does that happen?
Yeah, I think we did. Certainly when I was a kid, and I think people still do it. There's still places to go up there camping, fishing, swimming.
Get out of the city a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in the city have like weekend homes in either New Buffalo, Michigan, or like Lake Geneva area, Wisconsin. So, on either side of Lake Michigan.
Right. Get out of the city a little bit, have a weekend of the lake or whatever. All right. Top 5 large SUVs with the highest 5-year depreciation. This should be interesting because we talked about Ford here in a minute. Let's see what happens. And let me just say, I have not seen this list.
All right, I'm excited.
Infiniti QX80, Land Rover Range Rover, Cadillac Escalade, and Escalade ESV, Lincoln Navigator L, and Nissan Armada. Again, Ford is lost on this list.
Okay, I just have to make a point that I've made to Jill on the podcast. The old Infiniti QX80 sucked. It sucked so much.
Yeah.
It deserves to be where it's on this list. It was strangely large and heavy with a terribly cramped interior. Fuel economy is awful. That old 5.6 liter V8 was nasty. Like, there was nothing good about that truck. It belongs to be right here.
Yeah, so it lost $53,521. The big one was a Land Rover Range Rover. It lost $67,858 in 5 years.
Ow.
Yeah.
Ow.
I'm a little disappointed by the Escalade.
But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, the Escalade. Honestly, I don't like the Escalade. I had a friend who was 6'1", sit in the back of the Escalade. He couldn't sit in the back seats. His head, the headrest, he didn't fit. He's not a long-legged guy. I've learned with taller people, and Jill, I'll explain this to you. Taller people, you either have a long torso or long legs. It seems like.
Oh, you know what? It's kind of the same with short people.
Okay, there you go. He didn't fit very well, and the Escalade I had a couple years ago, he didn't. I didn't like it. I will tell you, I think the GMC Yukon is a sweet spot for me in the three of the full size SUVs from GM. I like the Yukon the best. It's a good blend between premium interior, but not going over the board with Escalade, and having a little bit nicer ride and a little bit nicer vehicle than the Tahoe, in my opinion.
I am with you. I think GMC hits a fantastic sweet spot there, and the value proposition is better than the Cadillac. But I do find the Cadillac to be incredibly quiet and incredibly smooth riding. Like, the refinement there is great, and I love the giant touchscreen that goes across the whole interior. Although I'm waiting for that to become a huge liability when they'll start failing.
Right. Tom, I will tell you the story that I think Jill knows, but you may not know this. But the Escalade has what's called night vision.
Yeah.
And so what I do with these vehicles, I turn on night vision, I drive around them hunting rabbits. Hunt rabbits.
I've seen the video. Yes.
So I hunt the rabbits. So that's a fun part of the Escalade for me. I'm not sure what else you'd use it for. People have said that in the fog and along like the coast, it's useful. But besides that, I don't understand why that feature exists.
I want to point out that the QX80 is at the top and the Armada is at the bottom of this list, and they both sucked.
It's really a rebadged vehicle at this. I mean, that's what they were. Yeah, and the Lincoln Navigator L.
Like, I never understood why you would buy an Infiniti QX80, which was like $20,000 more than the Armada, when they were literally the same vehicle.
The only reason you would do it because the Escalade isn't blingy enough for you. I mean,
Infiniti.
There's so much chrome on that Infiniti.
Yeah.
No, even now, I think the Armada is better value than Infiniti is.
Yeah.
And Infiniti is just a status symbol.
Yeah, and I drove both the new Infiniti QX80 and the new Armada, and the Infiniti QX80 is better, but I still don't know that I love it.
Yeah.
I still don't see the reason why you would buy the QX80 versus the Armada.
I think the redesigned QX80 is kind of in the game now. I think it's worth cross-shopping against the others. You're probably not going to buy it unless the dealer goes crazy and makes you a nice deal. But at least it's competitive now. Because again, and I may have mentioned this before, the old ones really sucked.
Tell us how you really feel. I don't think I understand. I'm not getting that. Did it suck?
And the thing with the Nissan Armada, I just had one, I don't know, a month ago, whatever. I don't know why I'd buy the Pro 4X version of that. Like, it's big and it's bulky, and I appreciate people do it. I know the Nissan Patrol, which is a global vehicle basically the Armada is based on, is a very off-road capable vehicle. I get it, but I just no. I think Nissan has a big gaping spot missing with not having a exterior back in the market, especially with the popularity of the 4Runner and popularity of the Bronco. And I think and with Nissan going through several leadership changes, almost going bankrupt and trying to be sold. It's not going to come to marketplace anytime soon, but they have a big gaping hole.
Good point.
Okay, so before we close out too much more, we finish that list. Tom has a really interesting thing where he has an ad on Consumer Guide Auto.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me, consumerguide.com. I want to say auto all the time, consumerguide.com. And it's a Mercury truck, which I believe I saw one recently. I was at a old car museum, and I want to say it's Gillette, Wyoming. Gillette, Wyoming, middle of Coal Town, USA, besides Pennsylvania and West Virginia, has an amazing museum up there. I'll give them a shout out. I went there. I stopped there at an event. I took like videos and I took like 700 photos. It was just like a candy cane store, and they had this. I think they saw this Mercury here. So this is a Mercury truck, and I love that. If you listen to the podcast, it's basically a rebadged Ford, but Mercury badging. But it's got a gentleman who's driving it, looking out at a lady pushing her, and a little girl is turned over in the bench seat, looking out.
No seatbelt.
No seatbelts. No, we don't need those damn seatbelts. No airbags. We die like real men. So it's a very interesting ad. So Tom, would you tell us where this ad came from?
Yeah, this was a regular magazine print ad, and it appeared in Canada. And I don't know, Jill is probably tired of me talking about the weirdness of Canadian dealerships, but Canada was a weird market, and it's still pretty weird, but because the population density in Canada is a little thin, manufacturers and OEMs can't really put in dealerships as much as they want to, right? They can't put a dealer everywhere because there's just not enough population to serve them. So one of the weird things that happened, one of the weird, wonderful things that happened in Canada was that Canadian dealers sometimes got vehicles that you wouldn't expect them to have. And one of them was that Ford dealers, Mercury dealers, because there wouldn't be a Ford dealer for miles and miles, got versions of the F-100 pickup. So this is a Mercury pickup truck sold in Canada. It was identical to the Ford in almost every way, except for the grill insert piece and maybe some trim pieces. I think the interiors were completely identical. But you run into these from now and then, and they are Mercury pickup trucks. And now they did the same thing at Chrysler Plymouth dealers. They used to sell Dodge pickups under the Fargo brand. And you'll run into those at car shows too. But it's just this great little piece of weird Canadian strangeness.
Well, and that's really funny because I was reading the comments earlier, and I feel like Dave in Canada actually asked us if the Fargo brand ever came to the United States.
Not to the U.S., but it was exported to some markets. So I think Fargo showed up in South America and some weird European nations.
Okay. Yeah, because it was funny. I saw that comment, and I was going to pull it onto the screen because I was like, Tom would know the answer to this.
Yeah, no, Fargo never came to the U.S. But they did.
I'm looking at these. The ad has little things that says last longer, extra sturdy frame and axles, truck tough springs, give Mercury trucks long lasting endurance for daily work. Invest Mercury truck for your year in, year out service. It also costs less to run. Mercury V8 engines built by Ford of Canada are matched to the low capacity of the model for top operating economy, year round dependability. That's like you just talked 20 words there and said nothing.
Hey, but the guy driving it's wearing a suit, so
yeah, he's wearing. Yes. There's a guy wearing a suit. There's a farm guy. This is a great one. Family, which is in quotes. Cab comfort, full width, non-sag seat, and seat back are independently adjustable for greatest comfort. There's plenty of room for three large rear. There's plenty of room for three. It's a large. Large rear window is 4 feet wide.
I do hate those sagging seats.
I know.
Yes, I have on my 62 C10. I definitely fixed that. I will tell you that the 4 foot wide window sucks. You know why? That's what the term came up like being rednecks. Like your neck would just burn by the sun. I have a small window in my 62, and I can actually go and order a longer or wider window. And I'm like, no, I don't want to buy a wider window because it is so hot in the cabin. Like that's the last thing I want.
And you got a sunburned neck because of it.
Oh yeah, every summer, if I drive my truck around too many times, I will have a sunburned neck because I have the window behind me.
All right, I've never heard this before. Redneck is literally is it specifically a truck thing?
No, I mean redneck means a lot of things, but
okay.
But I mean, it's basically you're out there hunting fish and you're out there doing things, and
all right,
and you get a redneck that way. But also, I will tell you, a lot of farmers have rednecks.
Sure,
because of the tractors. You ride a tractor along, and a lot of farm guys wear ball caps, and you have the redneck from riding a tractor around, and also from driving the trucks back then because they had a big window behind you because you wanted to be able to see behind you, and it was interesting. Little small rear view mirror, big window, and they had like a 5-window Chevy that had the window that was on the B pillar. It was even worse.
To your point too, Tim, the 4-foot wide window wouldn't have been tinted. It was just glass.
Yes.
So it would take longer, but you could easily burn through that over time.
Oh, I've had many bad red necks. Really, from driving work around. It burns you. And so I tend to, I'd like to get it tinted would be the best way to do it, because it is, and the trucks didn't have AC back then either.
Right.
So you're trying to have the windows open and you're trying to get the cool air in and have this big clear glass blowing in the back of your head. And also that's why a lot of guys back then also had a red left arm.
Yes.
Because your hand was out the window and you're driving around the truck and the sun would just beat down. And most of those farmers, even to today, don't believe sunscreen is worthwhile and they should never use it.
The classic farmer's tan.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah, farmer's tan is, red neck, red face, and red arms. That's farmer's tan. Yeah, and that's it. Really,
like
because
white shoulders.
Yeah, white shoulders. Yep. That's the and now with the crew cab and things, you don't have the same red necks they used to have. But yeah, that was a real thing. And I will tell you firsthand. I will tell you that really does hurt. I hate having a suburban neck. It's the worst thing ever.
So, do you have any of those buffs that like people were wearing during the pandemic, like instead of a mask, and it's like essentially, so
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
when I walk in the summer, I actually, because I started to get burnt on my neck. I mean, I was putting sunscreen on my neck, but I'd be out there for 2 hours walking like 5 or 6 miles. So I would wear I started wearing a buff just around my neck just to keep from getting sunburnt like on the back of my neck. And because it didn't matter how much sunscreen I put on, it still got burnt.
I've watched enough Gunsmoke to know that that's why you tie a neckerchief around your neck.
Yeah.
Bandana. Yeah.
And then that because the Cowboys. So I tend to, when I play a lot of golf in summer, I have a bigger hat I wear. I have a big, not a straw hat, but a big golf hat I wear. Just keeps it off my face and my neck, because invariably by August people are saying to me like, Tim, wear sunscreen, or Tim, you drink too much, your face is red, or Tim, I'm like, well, look, I'm a white guy from like Sweden heritage, like I'm gonna get burned. And so I put on my dad one time gave me like SPF 30 and I grabbed mine and put it on the counter. It was like SPF 90. And he's like, oh. I'm like, I wear this every day. It doesn't seem
100, yeah.
It doesn't seem to matter. So that's I do my best. But no, normally I wear collared shirts to help a lot on the golf course. But when I drive my truck around, it's t-shirts, and that's why I have to be really kind of careful. Yes, a sombrero.
Yeah.
Sombrero.
We used to joke that my dad had Chicago legs. My dad was a classic German guy, didn't put on shorts until the middle of June. And the first time he did that, his legs were just like glowing white and hairy as heck. So Chicago legs.
Yeah. So this is the first day it's been in the, it's almost 70 today. And I put on shorts to go to the massage, and I happened to look down and I was like, holy cow, I need to spend some time outside. I was like, yeah, one of those things. So
I've gotten a sense your massage was life-changing.
It was an experience, and she so I've had a variety of health issues over the years. I've talked about in the channel different times, and this is the next phase. I've done chiropractors, MRIs, physical therapy twice, and so this is the next phase of keeping Tim active and not being so round in the middle as much as I can be. So
I'm glad it was a positive experience. That's cool.
Was it a positive experience? That's the question. I
guess I'm going to know on Thursday.
Oh,
so I'm downing water right now quite a bit, and apparently I'm going to be sore tomorrow, is what she told me. And then I play golf Thursday. I will tell you that I can twist more than I've ever been able to twist. I've hit the golf ball a lot better. I can move better. When I get done playing, I feel muscles that are sore that I've never known I had muscles there before. So I'm definitely activating different types of muscles and things. So I think it's going to be it's probably going to be a part of my life for the rest of my life. Is what I'm kind of at this point. I'm kind of thinking about things because
self-care is important.
Yeah, and I rode my bike the other day in the basement. I have a spin bike. I used to bike a lot, and so that was really good to get a 30-minute bike ride in. Haven't done that for a while, and not having pain. But she actually, the interesting part was she went over my hands, as people would surmise I'm at my computer more than I want to be. I'd rather be outside golfing or fishing or doing anything else besides my computer. I hate to be in a computer. And she went through my hands and she found some spots past my wrist, and she was like pushing out the buildup.
It like gets crunchy. Yeah.
Oh, holy cow.
Yeah.
I was squirming on that one a little bit. So I didn't jump off the table. I did. She said at one point I raised my legs and kicked a little bit, and that was a symbol that I was doing a little bit too much pushing. But it's interesting. And the reason why I bring this up, and I posted on Facebook about it, was I feel like, and this is my soapbox here, I feel like guys don't talk about health enough. And
I think probably true. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think men do. And so if I can embarrass myself a little bit and talk about these things or put it out there, I'm fine with that. If we can all just talk about mental health, physical health, because I think that stuff really does make a difference. And I know it makes a difference in my life, and I want my kids to be happy. Oh, in the last 2 minutes of the podcast, the live stream, Tom Peter's camera.
I don't know what I hit. I've been goofing with it for an hour.
So there you go. If you waited along for the hour and 46-minute mark, you see Tom and Phil on the camera. So no, I think it's important to talk about health, and I've certainly gone through my struggles. And I used to do a lot where I used to bike a lot, done a couple 100-mile bike rides. I just love to push myself. I'm a very driven person. I love to push myself, and I want to get back to the point. I don't want to be like, the big reveal. Geez. I don't want to be in a walker when I'm 70. I don't want to be that guy. And I feel like I'm going to be 48 this year, and I hope to live to be in my 90s. So I'm kind of halfway point in my life, and I want to make sure I'm in good health getting to that point.
Well, I would say that the big part of that is realizing that that's what you want to do. So congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, make that work.
Well, and Jill's been on trips with me enough that she knows that my body powers down like at 7 o'clock, like 4 o'clock, and
I'm still running
past that. It's like, it's been a nightmare getting past that 4 o'clock thing. There was a time I couldn't lift my left leg when I walked around the house. I would just drag it. It's just I don't know. And then nobody has there's no rhyme or reason for it. There's no answer. I've talked to different doctors about it, and there's no like silver bullet. And I'm like, I wish I had a good story. Like I'm like, I was pinned down and numb. They come around me. I take a bullet to the hip. I wish I had a really cool story, but I don't have a cool story, and that's the most frustrating part. Is nobody can give me an answer besides the fact I do these things where I push through the pain for a while and I work out, and then all of a sudden the pain hits more, and I tend to go downhill, and then I don't get served, and so I do this back and forth thing for a while. So I'm hoping that after I've done the last 7 weeks of physical therapy, I'm back to this high thing, going more working out and stuff. I'm hoping that I can do enough stretching and enough yoga and whatever I can do, and enough massage to keep that arc going upward. That's the plan.
Well, good luck, man.
Oh, thank you. All right, I think that's it.
Okay.
I think that's it. Oh, and Dwayne, by the way, Dwayne, he says you didn't do the video with you and Jill golfing. We actually golf separately. We also ran separately. So unfortunately, that's kind of how that worked out with timing of trips.
Hopefully we will event. I'm like, I think it would be funny if I could get you an invite to the Chicago Auto Show golf outing this year.
Yeah,
we golf together.
Jill and I have talked about doing that. I mean, it's not out of the wood. It hasn't quite worked out. I still have plans. I'd like Jill to come out. I'd actually like Jill and her husband to come out to Nebraska sometime. I think that'd be really fun. I think John would have a great time experiencing the rural America. I think, and rural America. I think that'd be fun. I think it'd just be a good time to get everybody together and do some stuff. And I usually see Tom every year at the auto show when situations are Jill's not sick,
when I'm not having the flu,
right? And Tom, we're getting around to doing that again. Hopefully next year we'll get the auto show. But yep. So that's what's going on. All right, I just wrapped this up. All right, so there you go. That's what we have for you tonight. I hope you enjoyed that podcast. I thought it was pretty fun. The hour went by really quick.
It was just a great conversation.
Yeah, I'm going to go watch a show and pour myself in a chair and just kind of relax a little bit. You don't have to relax, though. You can hit the play button. There's more videos up over here on the channel. I think it's the other hand. I'll go this way, that way, whatever we got to do. Make sure you check us out on the podcast. Also, check out consumerguide.com and the podcast that Tom and Jill put out every Monday.
Yes.
Monday, Tuesday put out? Yeah. I know you record on Monday. Does it publish on Monday as well?
The full thing goes live with the show notes Tuesday morning. But it's actually usually available by 7 p.m. Central Time.
Okay, so check that out as well. As always, Thanks for watching. We will see you down the road.